All right, we've got one of our world famous, world-renowned Keep Talking segments. You know, that's where I go into the studios of my friends, my colleagues, my brothers and sisters in the talk radio and podcast world. But this one is going to be a little different because I've got something to set it up. So we're going to be talking to Sam Malone from AM 1070, The Answer in Houston. But the mayor here in New York City has got a little thing about the border. Play that.
As the mayor of the city of New York, I don't, weigh into immigration issues, border issues. I have to provide services for families that are here, and that's what we're going to do. And that's what our responsibility as a city. I'm proud that this is a right to shelter state, and we're going to continue to do that. This is horrific when you think about what the governor is doing, the governor of Texas, after a month of traveling across the border, placing on the bus with no direction to come here to New York. And New York is a city that has always represented the democratic values and the values of our city, of showing our compassion. And that's what we're doing today.
All right. So now the mayor says he's going to send busloads of New Yorkers down to Texas to knock on doors or something. Let me bring in the host of the Sam Malone Show mornings on AM 1070, The Answer in Houston. How you doing, sir? Welcome back.
AW, doing fantastic. Thank you for having me back on, sir.
All right, so our mayor is threatening to send busloads of people down to Texas. Is he following the U-Hauls, or is he want them to go visit friends that have gotten out? I don't think any of them will come back.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, I'm going to send people to Houston where there's no state income tax. Okay, never mind. I'm going to send them where the gas is cheaper. Okay, forget about it. I'm going to send them to a constitutional carry to a loving state. Yeah, bad idea. I'm going to type in epic fail. That mayor's face is coming up. By the way, love the taxi guy sign completely. I don't know what that guy's showing up for, but what the heck? He totally distracted from an epic fail message by your mayor.
All right, so, you know the first question is always, what's the hottest? I mean, how much time have you spent time on this? Are your listeners getting a good laugh at this? I mean, I see some of the social media posts. People in Texas are laughing at this.
Well, laughing, part crying, because as you know, and you follow it well, is that we're about 1 million criminal immigrant invaders since March, about 3 million criminal immigrant invaders since Biden allegedly took office. Where I sit, not far from here, is Interstate 10, I-10, and I-45. Like y'all have I-95 running up and down. I-10 and I-45 is the crossroads of human trafficking, okay? It's not far. It's in the Houston metropolitan area. Evil things are going along the border, okay? We've got the fentanyl. We've got the human sex trafficking, the cartels. We got the gotaways, about 600, 700,000, quote, gotaways. Bad, bad, bad people. And your mayor's like, I'm going to send New Yorkers to Texas. I'll take clueless for 200, Alex. The guy has no idea. And this state with our economy, now remember, we still have the recession, we still have inflation, but Texas's economy is humping and pumping. You mentioned U-Hauls. I'm not kidding. There's a U-Haul facility near our airport on the northern part of the city. It is jammed because people are coming in and dropping off U-Hauls. And they're getting down, like when the Pope lands, kissing the ground and saying, God bless Texas. I'm having barbecue. I got more money in my pocket. Love that Lone Star State.
Well, and on a serious note, this has been costing, illegal immigration has been costing Texas taxpayers, overcrowded schools, hospitals, jails. It's been running up the tab there. New York advertises itself as a sanctuary city and a sanctuary state. This is what you asked for. You told people that if you're in New York City, nobody's going to enforce the law on you. There'll be services that you can access. Hell, you can even vote. So now that Abbott's like, oh, you want that? Hold my beer. And now that now that the buses are actually coming in here, Mayor Adams is acting like, what do I do? I mean, the mayor of D.C. called out the National Guard at the first sight of Latinos getting off a bus.
Look, the bottom line is, and why your mayor once again is such an epic fail, with the crime the way it is in New York City, the treatment of the police in New York City, we really love and respect our men and women in blue. But remember that the illegals are on the buses coming to New York are on the bus voluntarily. They broke into America. They were given probably, a catch and release little piece of paper torn out from a loose leaf thing, and they're voluntarily put on the bus. So it's not like they're grabbed and thrown in there kicking and screaming. They want to come to New York City. It's amazing that your mayor up there in New York City is pretty much shutting the door on the face of people who, once again, as you mentioned, he invited to town.
Well, I love when he says they're coming here with no direction. Well, if the bus leaves Texas and it ends up in New York, that's direction. The bus driver's got GPS. He knows exactly where he's going. I think what he's afraid of in this recession, look, you see some of the polls in even blue districts that Biden won handily, and they're in toss-up territory now. I mean, when you have the kind of gas prices that we have, look, I live in New Jersey, I work in New York, gas is still above $5 a gallon where we are for the most part. You have the highest taxes in almost planet Earth, and you have the smallest living spaces here in New York City for the average family. And now all of a sudden, you have a mayor who says, well, we're going to be a sanctuary city, and all these people start showing up, and they're going to need social services. Where it's going to come from after the lockdown that cost this city millions and millions and millions of dollars, I don't know. But I think he's afraid. I think the Democrats are afraid this might cost them votes.
Oh, it will. Also, shift on over to Washington, D.C., where the mayor said about the criminal immigrant invaders coming in on, our buses from Texas. Mayor Bowser was the one who said, well, we won't have room in our homeless shelters. Hey, newsflash, hello. Once again, 1 million invaders since March. What do you think we're handling? How do you think we're handling it? You mentioned overcrowded schools. We have to pay, for every criminal immigrant kid who comes in. We can't turn them away. When my son was in the public schools, he didn't even have a chair to sit in. And this is the truth. He actually had to sit on the windowsill because it was an overcrowded school because of that. Now, as weeks went by, the kids who were here illegally started to, filter back out of the schools. But in the beginning of his, I think it was 9th and 10th grade year, he didn't even have a seat, where taxpayers were paying quite a hefty, Houston Independent School bill as part of our property tax. And this kid, my son, didn't even have a seat, Andrew.
No, I'm not surprised. I mean, you guys have been dealing with this for forever. I mean, that's what it means to be on the border, right? When you have people streaming across the border, when Kamala Harris goes and studies the root causes of whatever she's doing, in between the cackling and the nonsensical statements, we know what the root causes is. We send foreign aid to fix the root causes. The root causes don't get fixed because the people we're sending the money to are corrupt, but we keep sending the money anyway. They're sending us the people, we're sending them the money, and a lot of them are amassing in places like Texas or Arizona or wherever. New York, yes, has its fair share of illegals, but not the way Texas does. And if they're going to virtue signal in New York, well, I guess you deserve a taste of your own medicine.
Amen. Look, obviously, my family came over between 1871 and 1911, came to this great country legally. We totally understand that experience, but we just can't have a wide open door. Look, I can't walk into CNN headquarters without an ID, and they know who's coming, right? I can't do that at ABC News, pretty sure. But that seems to be the concept of Democrats. We really don't care. And just to give you a factoid, just in Houston, Texas, our police department, HPD, Houston Police Department, we've had 6 police officers murdered by illegals, okay? That's just one police department. And we keep track of it, and we talk about it on the radio here. Imagine what it is across America. Imagine what the murder rate is across America by illegals. They don't want you to know these numbers because it would really change the hearts and minds of people going, what? We love the police. We stand with our police. 6 HPD officers murdered in the line of duty by an illegal alien. That's pretty darn sad.
Well, you know what it is for voters in New York City. They're all about the virtue signaling until it costs them something, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, people that may be in the low-income spectrum think, okay, well, more the merrier, until you realize there's not much more this city can tax. People are leaving. The tax base is picking up and leaving. And the city's going to have to go beg the federal government. I know they like to think, well, the blue states make and the red states take. I'll argue that point with anyone when you adjust the salt tax and all that stuff. But, people in this city, and I'm going to run out of time here, things are thin. And to say that people are going to start flooding in with who don't speak the language, might have not even job skills, there's really, I hate to break it to you after the lockdowns and what we're experiencing now with inflation, not a lot to go around.